Yo, what up guys, Beside here. The month of June introduced 5 new champions to us players in Raid Shadow Legends, which we can obtain through various events and tournaments that they will launch right now that is going on, and some that will come up in the future. Liminisi, Tholin, Grochos, Curaçao, Bala the Lost. Right now we have only 3 in-game that we are all struggling and hustling to see how we can get them, and the 2 others have not yet been launched, right? The one that we're currently talking about in this video is Tholin Foulbeard, the one fusion that is about to end. And if you check your in-game news, you have your last warning right here, which is telling you that if you do not go right here to your fusion portal and summon the champion, it will disappear from your portal. This is your last warning. If you still have all the rares, if you have all the epics it requires to fuse him, I've already fused him, so you might not be seeing it on my link right now. I've done the fusion, that's it. So in this video I want to give my, well, not my first impression. We've already seen his kit, we already talked about him when we saw his kit the first time. This is not a first impression, this is more like a realistic build, a realistic guide to Tholin Foulbeard. In this video, I'm not going to be giving my best gear to this champion. I'm not going to be stealing gear from people to put on him. I just want to give newer players, especially who are watching this video, a guide of how to build this champion for the first time, how to use him in any content that you want to, whether it's dungeon, whether it's the camera, any early game to end game content that you want to use him. That's what this build will be all about. So let's get right into it. Remember, this is not a damage test. I'm saying this is a realistic build. So what does that mean, realistic? It means I'm not building this champion with my best. I'm not putting books on him also. That's another key thing, because right now you might be limited in books. That makes it also a little bit realistic, because it takes a while to book all these legendaries that we're always getting in the game. So if you intend to use this champion without books, you might see in this video how he performs subpar. You cannot expect the best out of a champion who doesn't have books in Raid Shadow Legends. It doesn't happen. I have farmed his Masteries because I was trying to get into level 60 at least. He cannot be running around with a champion level 40, level 30, and he's gonna be dying a lot. During the last champion training or that was still going on, I did take him to 60 on the live stream, and we put all this gear on him and we tested him out a little bit in campaign. But in today's video I want to take him into the dungeon, and I might not be fighting the Chimera, which is one content that has been requested the most. This is one content that this champion, a lot of players are saying he will be used the most. But let me give you a general guide for at least newer players who are coming in and who are using this champion for the first time. Maybe you missed out on his kit, maybe you missed out on his skills, you don't know what all the craziness is all about. He's a champion who has a weaken on his A1. The weaken works against bosses, and if he lands that weaken, he'll get an extra turn. That's one key thing I think I like about this champion the most. Imagine going in with your A1, hitting, placing weaken, and then instantly getting an extra turn to either use your A2 or A3. It's so awesome. So that alone makes him a good candidate for a relentless set. That's the first piece of artifact set. If you're thinking, what artifact set should I put on my Tholin Foulbeard, that one will be highly recommended if you can get the right damage stats and all that, because a damage dealer like this can also be built in relentless, yes, but don't expect relentless damage dealers to do the best damage. The best damage in Raid Shadow Legends refers to players who can build their champions in any set that can ignore more enemy defense. That's just it, right? So you either have to wait relentless that makes you take numerous turns, many turns, or the damage set that ignores damage and makes you do one hit, you do that amount of damage that you normally do in relentless many turns. So you have to wait and test and compare. But those are the first recommendation, due to the fact that this champion does have this extra turn mechanic built into his weaken. So if he does not land the weaken, it's not going to happen, right? But the weaken is sure to land against corrupted alliance and bosses or a minion, because it doesn't need accuracy for that. Now if you're going against enemies that are not bosses, that are not on the corrupted alliance, I think this weaken will need accuracy, right? This effect cannot be resisted on enemies, but yeah, this weaken will need accuracy. It's not like we need him to build in accuracy. So still in my build, like I'll show you right now, this weaken being used against enemies that are not corrupted alliance or not bosses did not require me, did not warrant me to go and build this champion in a accuracy banner. You will not see me put an accuracy banner on him because of the first part of this kit. No, I'm hoping to use him more against bosses. I'm hoping to use him against corrupted alliance. By the way, when you face against wave content, you don't really click on them and see whether they are corrupted alliance or not. You just hope and pray that few of them will be corrupted alliance, but the weakened condition on wave will not activate. You'll not see him doing his A1 a lot on wave clear. Like the dragon I'm about to run, you'll not see this champion taking full advantage of this A1. But once he gets to the boss, that's when you begin to see this extra turn mechanic on the A1 act out more often. So this is also not I don't think this champion belongs to the PvP, but I'm sure somebody else will test him out there. I don't feel like he is an exclusively a PvP champion in my humble opinion. So that's the main thing that I wanted to point out right here. That is the key point of this champion, that extra turn mechanic. And now on the A2 right here, this is going to be his main damage dealing ability, right? Each hit ignores 25% of the target's defense. If the target is from this, he ignores up to 50% of the target's defense. So anybody you target with this skill should die on the enemy team. So this might warrant some players to want him to be used in PvP content, but again, I feel like against bosses, this skill should just ignore 50% of the boss's defense and deal more damage. Now, I did see in my live stream on Sunday, somebody was comparing Tholin Foulbeard to Gnot. I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. When Gnot hits with his triple hitter on his A3, the bosses, any bosses HP just go boom, boom, boom. I'm not sure Tholin Foulbeard can achieve that same result with this ignore defense mechanic on his A2. I'm not sure. I've not tested it against the boss. That's why I'm eager to put out this video and see. Although it's not in my best build, like I said, I did not steal gear or anything to put on him to test out full damage. But at least we'll be having decreased defense and weaken out there on the boss and really see how much damage this skill can do. They did say it does have good multipliers for sure. So I'm sure a lot of other content creators have tested him out already in the test server and see what they can do. I just want to test it for myself in normal content and see if it's one that I will enjoy using in the future, or is one that I will just grab after this fusion and throw right to the vault and let him stay there until I need him for Corset City stage or something like that. This is also if the battle lasts a little bit longer, he will stack up this small attack on himself up to 50% on the A2. I don't mean to go through all the skill again, but if we are about to do a damage test, or if we're about to do a run in a battle, we're supposed to know what skill we're expecting for this champion. Now, I always try to do this damage test or for this battle test without bringing other champions that will overshadow his skills or overshadow his ability in battle. So I'll test him out with a bunch of rares, so we can really see him in level 25 dungeon content. Let's see. Now, for the A3, which is another damage dealing ability, this is the one that he most likely will start the battle with because it gives him an increased attack. For each crit hit landed on the first hit, increases damage dealt by 10%. So this might give him an extra 20%, 30%, depending on how many crit hits he lands on the first hit. The second hit will have this extra percentage and it will ignore unkillable and shield. This still does not, permit him to be a arena champion. Now, I'm not saying you cannot use him in arena. If he's well built like this in your team, especially in ignore defense artifact sets, definitely should be an arena champion. All right, now for the blessing, before I talk about the blessing, let me go to the passive. Activates the A1. Activates the A1. That's all you need to know about this passive. This passive will activate the A1 for every 5th turn. That's another reason to also make sure you have Relentless on this champion. I'm kind of sad now that I don't have Relentless on him because I wanted more damage. Now, but if you have Relentless on him, plus him activating his skills for every 5th turn, this might be very, very amazing to see. All right, on to the blessings. On the live stream, we did some debate about the best blessing from him. Nature's Wrath was recommended by L8, but a lot of players were, doubting if not Lethal Dose now. There's one that was the one that a lot of people was thinking. Phantom Touch might be amazing for a champion like this, for sure. There's one more I was looking at. There's one more I was considering to put on him. Is he on this one? Heaven Cast. Yeah, on this one. Increases damage inflicted by this champion according to the number of buffs on them. So if you're going to use this champion in Chimera content where you have your Lydia and others, Duchess, whoever, placing a bunch of buffs on this champion, so increases the damage inflicted by this champion according to the number of buffs on them. If you can put 3-4 buffs on them, you have a damage increase that can go up to 45, 4.5. Yeah, 1.5 times how many buffs. So you can make that math right here and you can find out. But if you can get a 6-star, you can even get more buffs. So this might be better than the current one I currently have on him, and Nature's Wrath, which also increases the damage inflicted by this champion. This is number of debuffs he places, right? Placed, they successfully placed. In this case, he places only one debuff, which is the weaken. So you only have that one increase 3%. But if you're gonna go with the other one, I feel like that one will do more damage eventually if you can get a lot of buffs on him. That's something to consider. Don't just blindly copy Nature's Wrath. But I know some people have done the test and they know which one is best. I just felt like this one had a potential to be tested and see how many buffs you can put on him and how much damage you can do with all that buffs on him. Alright, so he does still have his aura in all battles of 30%, and I put him in the speed lead because in the aura of increased attack in the leader slot, I mean, just because I didn't need a lot of speed in this battle I'm about to fight. For mastery options, I went with the L8 masteries that went towards the offense and defense tree. But if you want a higher chances of making sure that weaken is landed, because remember the weaken landing is on a low chance, it's still on a very low chance. If you go over to the weaken right there, A1, 50% chance. When you book it, it's a 75% chance. You can use your mastery option to boost it to an extra 5% chance right here. With this mastery is called sniper, right? Increases the chances of placing any debuff from skills. So this mastery can increase the chances of you placing your weaken from 75% to 80%. So that's something to consider. But unfortunately for me, he doesn't need any other thing on this support tree except something like this or like this. But I don't think that he benefits anything else from this support tree, not even the accuracy tree, especially the fact that I tend to use him more against bosses than the wave clear. So, but there you go. He doesn't. You might add that if you want to come against other enemies that are not in the Corrupted Alliance. But I feel like the defense tree, now they did finally fix, or they said they're going to fix this champion before he was even released, right? They did say they're going to fix him. If you check out the Raid official Discord, they did talk about his A1. His A1, when you have a counter attack champion going in like Lady Mikage or your Farrakhan the Fat, this champion joining the attack was getting an extra turn. That was crazy how that was kept before he was released, but they're gonna fix it. I don't know if they've already fixed it. Now when an ally attack champion is going in their turn and he's joining the ally attack champion, his A1 is not supposed to grant him an extra turn at that time because it's not really his turn. It's the ally attack champion that triggered the battle and he is just going there to do a A1 hit. It's not supposed to trigger the extra turn at that point for him to now go right after the ally attack champion is going in. So it's a bug that will be fixed, and I don't think anybody can complain of that was a bad fix. No, that was definitely a good fix and is not intended to be so. It's just a strange one to see. And why I was remembering that is because sometimes when we look at this retribution and we look at this deterrence, we're thinking, if he counter attacks after losing 20% chance to counter when the enemy applied debuffs to us. If he counterattacks for that reason, or he counterattacks due to losing 25% of their max HP from a single hit, does that mean he can now get 2 turns if he places the weaken on a boss or something? I don't know. We'll have to see that in battle. Maybe that's the reason why this is being used, or it's simply being used for the chances of placing weaken. I don't know. But I would love to see that in battles to see whether counterattacks count at extra turn for him or not. Alright, that's the mastery option. You can check out other mastery option on hellhates.com. They did update that right here. And I did put this Hatter's reserve on him for extra attack, crit damage, and HP. Something random, right? Alright, enough of the talk. Oh, I did show you all my stats on these artifacts. That's kind of important. I know he's not maxed out or anything, but it's quite important for you to build this champion with 100% crit rate. That's the first thing you need on a damage dealer like this, 100% crit rate. For a newer player who is coming into raid, you might just want to go crit rate on the glove. That's your first priority when you're building, whether you're using the RSL helper, you're using the L8 artifact extractor, or you're building it yourself, finding your artifacts and putting it on him. Crit rate is the first one for newer players who do not have a crit damage glove. Now, if you go crit damage on the glove, you go crit damage on the amulet, and then you have 50%, 60% crit rate, it makes no sense. That's not how we build champions in raid. So I hope you don't begin to do that mistake in raid. 100% crit rate is the first priority, but if you're an endgame player, you know you have crit damage here, and you have enough crit rate on all other artifacts. Not a little bit of crit rate here, a little bit of crit rate here, and no crit rate there. There's double crit rate roll there. There's crit rate here, and even the boots I have crit rate. So with all this crit rate, I don't need a crit rate glove, right? I also talked about this champion not needing the accuracy banner. But if you're one of those who is fighting this champion in content that is not bosses or that is not corrupted, you might want to slap the accuracy banner on him to make sure he lands the weaken for you. Maybe. And then for the ring, I went with attack. As much attack as possible, because this champion's attack his damage is based off attack. So crit rate is the first priority start. Crit damage might be the second. Attack might be the third. Now, do not neglect speed on champions like this. And I just talk about 3 stats: crit rate, crit damage, and attack, right? But do not also neglect their speed. Your damage dealer should not be the fastest champion in your team. We all know that. But that does not mean you're not going to give them speed boots at least. At minimum, speed boots. Do not go put an attack boot right here, except it's a niche content you need that for, and you know the specific speed that he needs to be. But in general, this champion in these days in raid should be above 200 speed. That's the bare minimum that you can put on a champion like this. Except your super early game, yeah, you go building with 150 speed and it can nuke content like Dragon 20, right? But for endgame content, you'd have to be above 200 speed, and that's the minimum ask. For my total stats, you're looking at 226 speed. Initially I was 200, and then glyph got me to additional 26. And then check out the attack right here, almost 6k attack. Attack should not be low on a damage dealer whose damage is based off attack. And remember, he's gonna boost this attack more with his is it the other skill? I think it's the passive, and boost it to an extra 50% if the battle keeps going on. Accuracy 174, not needed, don't need it at all, and not even resistance needed on this champion. But check out the crit damage. I said it's a realistic build because I'm not building this champion with something crazy as 300 or 300 plus crit damage, but I went for anything above 200 is fine. Anything above 200 is realistic, and that's what I aim for. By getting my glove and amulet on crit damage, it got me this. Now, if you're using crit rate glove, you might find yourself around 200 crit damage, depending on the artifact set you're building. Also, I went with lethal because this is the artifact set I have the most on my account, because we always farm the dark fey. But a lot of players are saying this champion will also be amazing in merciless, which I totally agree. Remember, I talked about relentless set first of all, because I want him to take crazy amount of turns. But if I want to focus more on damage, you want any artifact sets that ignores enemies defense. Originally he has some ignore defense built into him, but you want the artifact set to also boost that ignore defense to be 100% ignore defense, so whenever he hits the enemies, it feels like they have no defense. That's what you want to achieve with this type of artifact sets in raid. Whether you're doing it in lethal, whether you're doing it in the basic beginner one of savage, or you're doing it in super endgame one of merciless. I also heard that Slayer will also be a perfect one for him, but again, we don't all have this artifact set, so we're gonna make do with what you have. You can also decide to go for total offset. Remember, stats is overset. If you don't want to rely on more ignore defense, which is what you want on a champion like this, it's totally fine to also put a random 6 piece of cruel on him and ignore a little bit of more defense and a crazy ton of attack. But that's total niche. But you have to build this champion in the artifact sets you have the most on your account. My account is different, yours is different. You might have a ton of merciless, I have a ton of lethal. You might have a ton of slayer, I have a ton of lethal. And build this champion with the best one you think you can reach those stats that you require. I hope I broke down the stats properly for those who are building champions for the first time. This might be your first legendary. I doubt it, because this fusion was crazy hard to obtain. But if you needed help, hopefully this one guided you to how to build this champion. Alright, let me go into the dungeon and fight this battle that I wanted to try out and see this champion in action for the first time. Well, I've been using him a little bit of campaign, but now I want to go into Dragon 25, which he is the right affinity, right? Let's see. I did put out a team together surrounding him, so he is the right affinity right here, hopefully for the wave and also for the boss. And I want to see everybody die and see if he can bring them, if he can just do his thing and nuke down the boss. I also want to see if she can revive them. So these are a bunch of rares and 1 epic for decreased defense. Somebody to reset his skills, because like I said, My Tholin does not have books yet. What am I waiting for? Normally, I'll book a champion like this before I put out a champion guide like this, but check out his skills are not booked. That's another reason why I'm calling it a realistic build. And I do have the books to put on him, but we have to wait for CVC. We have to play the waiting game, wait Shadow Legends, and not throw all our books into a champion that we are not sure whether we want to use him in the long run or not. That's going to be irresponsible for me to do that, especially when CVC with personal rewards, it's not coming anytime soon. So I want to make sure I hold on to my books. So I'm sorry, I cannot trade in my books for this one. That's why we want Raid to give us more content creator rewards when we hit 8,000 subscribers right here, which we are close to right here. If you hit that subscribe button, you can also contribute to this goal of getting to 8K subscribers, so I can get more books to build champions like this and test out for you without waiting for the right time to get it done. Cool advert I added to this video. I also have to pin that to every video right now until we get to the 8K, currently at 7,734. To hit that subscribe button is totally free, and you might be surprised, 75% of the players or raid players, raid viewers who watch these videos have not hit that subscribe button. So we always have to hit it home, and if you're one of those who have subscribed already, make sure you hit that like button also, so this video can go out to more people, right? Now, more newer players, I mean, because endgame players are already putting this champion in the vault and not even looking twice at him. All right, let's go into the dragon content and fight this champion in, should I do 25? 25, yeah, will give us a challenge that we need. I don't want to do 20 and it's too easy. It knocks everything down at 20. Let's go over to 25 Dark Elves and fight it now. Super rates is off, and he's in the leader slot. Decrease defense is out there, boost our speed, and a champion to reset his skills. Just reset his skills, and that's Renegade, right? By the way, because we don't have books, so it's gonna take a while, 4 whole turns for him to use his skill again. I don't want to wait that long. That's why I'm bringing a reset champion like Renegade. All right, let's go. Nobody here is gonna nuke the boss. Nobody here has a ton of damage except him. Let's see how fast we can get through the wave. Well, not that fast because I'm putting it on 1 speed so we can see his kit. Boom, boom. I thought Terrell would go with the decreased defense first. How come it's faster than my Terrell? What the hell? That's quite unfortunate because I really wanted to see that damage. Well, now we get to see the A2 doing 77 damage on that 2 double hits, or 50 and 77. We get to see the A1 now in action. Now his skills are reset. He can use the A3 again. Boom, boom. 33, 19. A champion that has decreased defense, he did about 40k damage on that champion. I'm putting it on slow speed. Is he about to die? Is that relentless? I mean, that was an counter attack, right? No, that was just him using his skill. Why did he just take a turn right there? Okay, he's using this skill a lot. What's making him use that skill a lot? Okay, he's a double hitter. I thought he's a 1 hitter. For a moment, I was like, why is he using it all the time? It's because he's a double hitter. No, right there, he didn't hit twice. Hold on, I have to see that skill. Is it the A1? It's not, definitely not the A1, right? It's the AoE hits right there that is making look like he's using it twice when it's not even his turn. This skill attacks all enemies 2 times before attacking, places a 50% increased attack. But I'm not seeing him place the increased attack, he's just using it. Now, is the A1 the AoE too? Yeah, okay, is the A1. So the A1 and the A3 look similar. So I was kind of confused. What is he using? What is he using? Most of the time is the A. When he does it like that once, you know it's the A1. But when he does it twice, you know it's the A2 that he's using. Right? Maybe he's just using the A1 twice and I'm not noticing. But he does have cool animations. That's another thing to watch out for. When you're using a champion like this, you have to look at whether you like the animations or not. Whether they are slow, whether they are fast. Okay, that one is the A3 because he just put increased attack on himself before he did it, right? Can you revive my Renegade? We got close to dying though, which is understandable because this is not easy content. This is 25 level of dragon, which most of these damage dealers we have right here, or these support champions, are the negative affinities. That's why they keep getting targeted. All right, let's go to wave 2. I want to see what he can do against the boss. Remember, he's not yet at 60. He's not fully booked. He's just doing his best with a bunch of support champions to guide him through. Now, if these side champions take a turn, we might be in trouble. These 2 side champions. He's ignoring They are shields, but they do not have a shield. There you go. That's the damage I was talking about. Down he goes. Damn. But we got one reviver right here. We got one reviver. Not to worry, not to worry. Come back, come back. Now, to come into a battle without a revive, that would be a mistake. So I made sure I brought a revive along with me because I know these champions hit crazy hard. Let's get some healing going for himself. Some of his masteries does give him some healing. A little bit of healing, not a lot. Can you place decrease attack on him? Yes, so he doesn't hit me too hard. A1 almost killed all of them. That was an A1 hit. I've not seen the extra turn yet above his head though. I'm looking out for it when I see an extra turn if he does A1. But because he doesn't land the weaken on everybody, that's why we're not seeing it. So it's not going to happen a lot. Let's kill this one. 74, 69 on that hit. So if you bring any champion, any enemy in PvP is usually not that high in HP. So this champion can definitely one-shot PvP champion with that skill, just like you can see him hitting twice on with it. This is the... I thought I used the A3 and it was hitting 3 times. And let's revive Apothecary. Is the important one here. Renegades can stay dead. We need to be faster than the boss, and Apothecary is going to help us with the speed boosting, the healing. And we need decrease attack on the boss if you can land it. 75 is on the boss, 79 on the boss. I see his passive activating on the boss, decreasing the boss's attack, right? Let me see it again. He's ignoring shield, ignoring 105 with that skill. Can you stop the boss from doing his stuff with his A1? No. Only A1 it has. He's doing it again. Weaken. Again. This is what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. He just took 3 turns and made sure he broke the boss from doing his kit. Because he uses A1, then he used the A3. That's what happened right there. Now, if he had Relentless, this will be happening a lot more. We don't have a cleanser. We do have a cleanser. Nice one. A1. Okay, that's the A3. I want to see him doing the A1, then getting the extra turn because the weaken is guaranteed to land on the boss. I want to see the A1 more. Okay, this is A1 now, but none of the skills are available, so he might do the A1 twice. Let's see. Extra turn right there. Let's see. No extra turn this time around. Okay, that was 2 turns. Damn, this champion A1 is what it's all about. It's going to give him a bunch of extra turn to do nuke again and again and again. So, yeah. Some players might say if you find yourself in a content where you need some crowd control, any A1 champion is perfect in a stun set, but the damage dealer built in a stun set might be an insult to his reputation. So, I don't know. That's not what you want to do, but yeah, I just had to mention that because AoE on A1 is perfect for stun set, but I'm not going to recommend that in this video. So that's my first, this is my second impression. This is me actually testing Tholin for the first time, using him after I will just obtain him. It's not one of these ones where I just obtain him after the fusion, put him in the vault, never do a video about it. This one I wanted to just hop in here, immediately I get him building full masteries and test him out. That's what this video was all about. Me trying Tholin for the first time, and hopefully you learn something new about this champion right here. Not built in my best gear, not fully maxed out in terms of books, not being used against endgame content like Chimera, but just against normal content that is realistic to most players who are starting raid for the first time. Maybe this is your first fusion or your second fusion, you're thinking where to use this champion. Now you have a little bit of idea how to build him, how to tweak these builds and make it work for you. Yeah, that's what this is all about. This is not a real champion guide, like I said. Maybe in the future, when I want to use him in specific endgame content, you'll see me talk about it in a normal champion guide. This is just a realistic build for Tholin. Anyways, don't forget to like, subscribe. It's totally free to hit that subscribe button. We need to get to 8K, not this month of June, maybe the month of July, and we can do it if we all hit that subscribe button right now. All right, if you have any tips and tricks about where you would want to use your Tholin, how you would build your masteries differently than what I did in this video, I'm always open to suggestions in the comments below. Make sure you type it in there. Be kind as always, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, guys.